What it do, YouTube/Patreon/bit. Shoot today's video. I want to chime in with a quick impromptu video. Today's video, I want to just touch on like a part 2 of the last video I just did, which I did like 2 days ago. But yeah, man, it's just like I'm tired of holding back. It's time to just go in with this shit for real. You know what I mean? And when I mean for real, I'm talking about the real truth. You know what I mean? And this is the thing when it comes to the truth. The truth is like duality. You know what I mean? It could be left, it could be right, it could be up, it could be down. Everybody got their own perspective of the truth. But at the end of the day, the truth always makes sense. You know what I mean? So, like I was saying in the last video, think about it like this, right? A lot of the stuff that I talk about and various other YouTubers talk about, people are scared to touch on these topics. People are scared to talk about certain topics. But how you gonna ever evolve or get to the next level or get over the issue if you don't address the elephant in the room? So it's like this, right? And I'm just going back in history from what they say is history, right? Going back in history, and you gotta see, this is the thing. With history, you gotta believe half of what you see and half of what you hear, right? So what does that mean? Basically what that means is the shit they show you in history, half of the shit is true, other half is false as fuck. And you'd be lucky if you even get that high of a percentage, because it's probably lower than that. You know what I mean? It's probably 75% lies, 25% of the truth. But you get what I'm saying? I'm just incorporating that with that saying. So think about it like this, right? Like I said, every so-called black person, which is really a native of America, they just come from a different tribe or whatever, you know what I mean? But they still natives, right? They try to say we black, we not black. Like I said, I'm Cherokee, Native American, which is Hebrew. Cherokee is Hebrew. Go do some research. So the thing is, right, everybody, every so-called black person, I'm only saying so-called. See, when I say the word black or so-called, I'm only saying that because I don't want to have to keep saying so-called black, so-called this, you know what I mean? I say black or white or whatever, you just automatically know what I mean. But those are not the true terms. I'm just saying that just so people who probably just now finding this video, or people who still like on a simple-minded level, they'll understand. Because I don't want to keep having to say so-called black, we Hebrew Israelites, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to have to keep saying that. So that's why I keep saying so-called black or black, you so you understand. But every so-called black person that's from a major city, mainly from a major city, but not even just that, just any city or any state that has a major black population. But the major cities, you know, Chicago, New York, California, Texas, Atlanta, Cleveland, you know what I mean? It's just so many different places. Florida, you know what I'm saying? New Orleans, just, you know what I mean? It keeps going on and on and on, just to name a few. All these states and cities I just named, right? Well, really cities, but they have major black populations. Like I said in the last video, we had a branch of the Black Panthers in Chicago with Fred Hampton and all of them. New York has or had a branch of the Black Panthers in New York. And they were spread all across the different cities, but they was mainly in those 2 cities. But once the Black Panther movement started to spread out, it just spread into each city that had a major black population was all connected to the Black Panthers. So every so-called black person that's in the hood of each different city are descendants of the Black Panthers. That's why we are kept down. That's why we are oppressed, and that's why they were oppressed. Our ancestors, our more recent ancestors, that's why they were oppressed, because the Black Panthers was created And gangs also was created to protect us against racist white supremacy. That's just a fact. You don't want to hear it because you probably with those people or you one of those people. You know what I mean? Or you just a sellout or an agent. It's just simple as that because that's just 100% facts. And the thing about that is that's why gangs was created, to protect us in our own communities from what the fuck was going on back then. The Black Panthers was giving out, food, school supplies, backpacks, clothes, because the stuff that our people was going through. Our people was oppressed, you know what I mean? Always in lack, always living without. Laws was written against us. They were saying that we undesirables, Negroes, Native Americans, and Latinos was considered undesirable, shipless, lazy, all that bullshit, which we know is for a fact that's not true. And that's why a lot of this stuff is still going on. So the government, aka the CIA, the FBI, DEA, ATF, the Alphabet Boys, they all came together to destroy that movement of the Black Panthers because it was too powerful. Like I said, COINTELPRO, that was created by J. Edgar Hoover, aka COINTELHO, that's what I call it, was created so another so-called Black Messiah will never rise up originally. Every so-called Black Messiah that rises up now is a government agent, unless you actually, grinding off YouTube shit, such as myself. But you clearly see they got my channel all hacked up and shit. And then another thing is too, I already know they watching me. I don't give a fuck. I'm not scared. We all have a divine purpose. We all have a cosmic purpose. You know what I mean? And it's like, you gonna keep bending over and get fucked in your ass, or you gonna stand up and put in some work? You know what I mean? That's just as simple as it get. And a lot of motherfuckers don't want to hear it because it's the truth. And the thing is, the reason why they keep putting drugs in our communities, I mean, it's spreading to all different communities now, of course, but I'm saying the reason why the black man and all that shit is the face of drugs, because it's being brought in by the government, aka the CIA, aka the FBI. How you think this shit get into this country? How you think this shit get into other countries? Don't know black motherfuckers got no laboratories in their basement. They probably do, but they ain't creating that shit. They ain't got, no laboratories in their basement where they creating this shit. They don't know the recipe. And if they do know the recipe, it's because they got it from the fucking CIA. You know what I mean? And it's just as simple as that. But just overall, what I'm saying is we didn't create this shit. Like Malcolm X said, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. See what I'm saying? And the reason why drugs and shit is still being put on us mainly is being put all around the world. Don't get me wrong. But the reason why it's mainly put on us is because they still trying to keep us down, because they know that Black Panther DNA is in us. Every so-called black person from each major city, even if you ain't from a major city, your bloodline was connected to the Black Panther somehow. And that's why they keep doing that shit. To keep us down, to keep us destroyed, so you won't really rise up and see who the real enemy is. See what I'm saying? The real enemy is in your face right now. Not me, I'm just saying, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. The real enemy is in your face right now. The enemy created infrastructures in your neighborhood, in our neighborhoods, really, to keep us down. You know what I mean? They come from overseas. And this is another thing how they trick you. Excuse me, because when I was asleep, especially being from Chicago and shit, I would really say you would see a lot of Arabs and stuff. I don't have nothing against Arabs and all that, but you will see a lot of them that be in our communities. You see a lot of Indians that be in our communities. You see a lot of Chinese people and stuff that be in our communities, which, like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. But the thing is, when you sleep, you just be like, who the fuck is these foreigners in our communities? The whole time you didn't know that the American dollar, it's not like the top dollar in the world anymore, but it's still up there. You know what I mean? And the thing all these people come to our countries and earning wealth and sending it back to their own home country to help build schools, water wells, help their family build infrastructures. We can do the same thing. Take our American money, go overseas to certain countries, build stuff for their people to help them out because it's their country, but also own our own land and all that shit. Because look, check this out. And Yash Kara talk about this too on his podcast, 7stage.com. He talks about this. That think about it. In America, you can never truly own land. And you might have some people that got land passed down to them through inheritance and all that. But if that land is on like a certain energy grid, or if it's in a certain area, the government is most definitely coming back for that shit. Because usually they try to turn into like a, a landmine or landfill or some shit like that, or a shopping mall, all this goofy shit. And if it's like in a place where they don't really give a fuck, they'll let you have it. But think about it, everybody that got land right now, they still paying taxes on it. Everybody who say they own a house and all that shit, they still paying taxes on it. They still paying a mortgage on it, for 30 years, 50 years, or however it go. So how do you actually own something if you still paying taxes on it? If you own it, and that's it. You don't have to pay nothing on it. That's just like if you get a car with a car note. You don't own the fucking car yet because you're still paying a car note. That's why a lot of people just go get a car. They just buy it outright. If they got it like that, they just buy it outright, meaning you don't have to pay nothing else on it. You own that motherfucker, blah, blah, blah. So in America, that's how they trick you. That's what the whole tax game is for. To tax our people, tax our land, to keep you in this monopoly system, right? They say, I own this land. How you own it? You still paying taxes on it. See, people don't think like that. And that's what I'm saying. You can go overseas, like JT the Bigger Figure. He went to Africa. He's building water wells for those people, building schools, showing those people how to do music, giving people Air Force Ones, African people who never even seen Air Force Ones before. He giving them Air Force Ones, all type of shit. He building shit for his family owning land, and he's helping them people out too because it's their land too. You know what I mean? And yeah, our ancestors may come from that region, that Israel, Egypt type of region, you know what I mean? The Middle East region, yeah, our people come from that region, but a lot of our people was already on this land too, in America too. You see what I'm saying? It's just all like a Ponzi scheme. It's all a game. And the thing is, when you sleep, you don't recognize that. You just like, who the fuck are these foreigners owning gas stations and shit? When you could take your American money and go do the same thing in their country. And yeah, you can't really bring their money back over here because it ain't gonna be worth nothing, depending on what country you in. But that's the whole point. You can go overseas and still have land there, come back to America, earn more money, and just take it back over there. But in different countries, you will actually own that land outright. See what I'm saying? For example, Vietnam, $550 USD. $550 USD. And Vietnamese money is $12 million in Vietnamese money. And that's just one country. $550 US dollars is $12 million in Vietnam. I think $550 USD in Kenya or Burkina Faso is like what, 50,000, 60,000 in their money. That little bit of American money that we think is a little bit really is a lot overseas. That's why when people used to say you don't know the value of a dollar, I never understood that saying until I actually started doing research and started learning about money myself. You know what I mean? That's really the value of a dollar. $1 US, let's say 20, 30 years ago, overseas, you was considered rich just off $1. In certain countries, not just $1, of course, because the US dollar fell, of course, but certain countries, like I said, you could take $500 and you got tens of thousands of dollars overnight. And yeah, it's not your country and shit, but that's the whole point. America was built, America is a corporation. The United States is a corporation. It's called the CFR, the Council on Foreign Relations. It's a corporation. So a corporation main thing is to buy, sell entities, aka property. They look at us as property. That's why we got social security numbers. Straw man, but we're not property. You see what I'm saying? That's all a game. It's all a mind trick. And that's the thing. I'm not saying you can't get land here. You can, but the whole thing is to take your American money, go overseas, or even go back to Africa, build shit up for their people, which is still our people, and build your own land, get your own land over there, and still come back here. You see what I'm saying? A lot of people ain't don't really get what I'm saying because it might seem too far fetched. But as you listen and think about it, you will understand. So that's why all this shit is going on. All these distractions, all this death, this killing. See, it's a ex-Satanist named John Ramirez. I was watching his videos, his testimony, listening to his testimony. He had deep testimony. He was born into Satanism, which a lot of us are. They just don't call it Satanism. They try to call it Egyptology. They try to call it Scientology and all this bullshit. They try to mask it. They call it Masonry and all that shit, when the original Masonry was mason builders, concrete builders, people who used to build houses and shit. And they took that concept and twisted it and called it Freemasons, which is a part of that society. Now, you know what I mean? Which is part of that satanic shit. And the thing is, a lot of them got their hands in this shit. You see what I mean? That's why the music industry, a lot of motherfuckers acting weird and shit because they doing rituals. And you could hear people that worked in the music industry that actually made it out alive actually talk about this shit. That's why Tupac said what he said with the Illuminati shit and all that shit. He already knew about this. This shit been going on since like what, the 1700s, 1776? Probably even before that, because you never really know. You know what I mean? Because when you write history, you control history. You could put in shit and you could take a lot of shit out too. You know what I mean? But like I said, you got to believe half of what you hear, half of what you see. You know what I mean? And even with me, I'm not saying, I'm not lying, of course. But even with me, a lot of people might be like, who is this dude? Woo, woo, woo. And yeah, you got every right to question that. But at the end of the day, the shit I'm saying, if you have a soul, you have ears to hear, eyes to see, you will get what the fuck I'm saying. You'll be like, damn, that make a lot of sense. But a lot of people not on the same level I'm on. See, I'm on a whole different level. That's why all my life I've been kept down. I've been oppressed in different ways because you got people trying to do magic on me to keep me down, but I have an anointing on my name and my life. That's why demons can't. A lot of demons can't call me by my first name, and that was happening to me too a lot. Motherfuckers calling me by my last name and shit. And you know me, you know, to me it's kind of disrespectful, but not really, because I see where they're coming from, but you know what I mean? But I was just putting the pieces together, like these demons ain't calling me by my first name because they can't pronounce that. Because the name Joseph was a powerful person in the Bible. Powerful person. He had an anointing on his life. It's a powerful name. Demons can't say that name. You see what I'm saying? So that's the thing. And that's just the thing. And I'm just jumping from topic to topic because, you know, I'm just mixing this shit up. You know how I do it. Like Kool-Aid, you mix that shit up. No, I'm joking. But yeah, like that's really what's going on. It's serious spiritual warfare going on. It may not seem like spiritual warfare. Motherfuckers looking like, I don't see God, I don't believe in God, I can't see him, but you believe in the devil. You can't see him either. But God is right in your face. The devil is right in your face. They manifest in human form, man or woman. Fat, small, skinny, tall, anything in between. You have to have discernment and know who is who. And like I said, as time goes on, which time is really illusion, but as time goes on, which is time is really just a sequence of events. As time goes on, discernment starts to get harder and harder and harder to discern because they fucking with the atmosphere, they fucking with the ozone, the stratosphere, all that shit. And when I say they, I'm talking about the government and shit. They fucking with all this shit, with HARP, all this shit. This is a bloodline war. A bloodline war that's going on. And they keep putting out all these distractions to keep you distracted from what's really going on. And a lot of people not gonna see it, but a lot of people wasn't meant to see it because a lot of people, you know, they were bred to be a part of Satan's army. A lot of people was bred to be a part of God's army. You know, I'm just using that term God so you can understand what I'm saying. You know, or the universe, what they want to call it, the Most High. And yeah, shit's gonna get worse. And then people always ask me, what's my take on COVID? I think COVID is man-made, of course. has a patent on it. And I don't think it's going nowhere no time soon. I think it's gonna be one of those things that's gonna stay forever. And if it do goes away eventually, it's gonna always be one of those scares in history. Like that was like one of the worst things ever. You know what I mean? Like, just in my opinion, like it's just one of those things that's just gonna just be there. Like the H1N1, the swine flu, all that shit. Like just gonna mad cow disease. It's just like that. But if you actually do your research, which people don't want to hear, think about it. With the bloodletting and all that shit, hundreds of thousands of people go missing every year. And a lot of times, their remains are not found. Some people remains are found because they probably wasn't a part of the bloodletting. They probably got caught up in some other shit. And, you know, unfortunately, something happened to them or whatever. Motherfucker tried to hide their body or, you know, whatever. But when motherfuckers can't find their body and shit like that, where you think those people at? They take them to meat factories. All those little kids they sacrifice, they take them to meat factories. I'm trying to tell you, they grind all that shit up and mix it into the snacks. They mix it into the food. They mix that shit into the fucking water. They mix that shit into the drinks. All that shit. I know it's fucked up. It's like, it's hard to find organic shit. I mean, it's not gonna say it's hard to find. Like, even if you find organic food, it's gonna be expensive as fuck and shit like that. But why you think most states, and I'm pretty sure you probably have some states out there that they probably let you, you know, some states, some towns, they probably actually encourage you to grow your own food or give you the choice to just go buy from an organic, you know, local farm or something like that. But most states say it's illegal to collect rainwater. And I used to live in Australia, right, for 2 years. So it's like, and recently, like 2019 to 2021, I just came back to America 5 months ago, like 5, 6 months ago. But the thing out there, what I learned being in Australia, it opened my eyes a lot because they are so big on like just natural food, organic food. Don't get me wrong, like they got junk food and shit over there too. But a lot of people on like that self-efficient shit where they like got rainwater tanks where they collect their water from the sky, and a lot of people grow their own food. So they kind of own that wave out there, which I like. But over here, it's frowned upon to have your own farms and shit like that, unless you're working with those people, or unless you probably got your own little low-key farm and shit like that in your backyard or whatever. But a lot of the times, if you have your farm, the motherfucking people is coming after you and shit. They don't want you to grow your own food, because then that means you separate yourself from the system, and they want you to stay a part of the system. It's like a sick trap. It's like some weird Nazi shit or something. I don't fucking know. But that's just some shit to think about. You feel me? More videos coming soon. And yeah.